right, so we just got done watching Sailor Moon Season 3, Episode 8. Forget it. Don't worry about the title. Based on the last episode, we're dealing with the pure of heart, people who are pure of heart. This episode centers around Ami, Sailor Mercury. One of the first things we noticed when we started this episode, me and Reed, is we noticed that there's a noticeable VA right out the gate at the opening of the episode. That doesn't quite feel like a real VA. You remember this, Reed?
Yeah, the teacher who's complaining to her that she's helping other people. It just kind of sounds like a real person, not much like an anime VA.
Yeah, and he's talking to her. Apparently, Ami's got interactions with the AV club. Who doesn't? What club is she not in?
What does AV stand for?
AV, audio, video. Adult video. Yeah, she's in the JAV.
Audio video.
One of the first discernible parts of this episode is we have a rare character moment between Mamoru.
I don't think I've ever seen them interact at all, ever, once.
I don't think so. I don't think we've ever seen that character dynamic, and I don't think, based on the nature of the series, I don't think we're going to see that go anywhere.
So, in the latest episodes of this series, of this chapter of this season, every sailor is
being pursued.
They're being pursued, and they're dealing with a certain problem, and they're being focused on. They're having an issue. This time it's Mercury, and her ambition is being preyed on by her terrible moon antagonists. JP, pick up where I'm coming.
Well, what you're saying is so with Jupiter in the last episode, she was being preyed upon because she's having difficulties coming in part to understanding her sexual orientation, but also in part with just her place as being sort of a unique type of woman, like almost verbatim what the episode says. In this episode, Mercury is struggling with, and what I wrote in my notes is it's actually a prototypical, almost a Taoist or Taoist, as the Westerners like to say, issue where it's he is the pronoun they use in Taoism. He who studies too much doubts what they know. So she's like, I want to become a doctor, but by virtue of studying so much, I feel like I'm out of touch. I look at Usagi and I see she has all these dreams. I've been pursuing this singular goal. I don't know what to do. And Mamoru basically says some dumb bullshit that she just buys because this is the Sailor Moon universe we're in. And they're all fucking boy crazy. Yeah. That's part of the fun, honestly, of the series. In particular, I actually found it quite fun that Mercury kind of saw this nonsense that Mamoru was bestowed upon her as being a worthwhile advice, even though it was hollow. Something I don't even recall.
But yeah, Mamoru does serve to set some sort of tone or something to relate in
he says
relation to.
He says, I'm afraid of getting my shots, but if you were the one giving them to me, maybe I would consider getting them. Which it's
right. It helps her recontextualize herself.
Yeah, and that worked for her. And then,
this episode, Ami's racing Sailor.
Can you speak up?
This episode, Ami's racing Sailor Neptune in a water race because they're both water type Pokemon, and Sailor Mercury kind of forfeits the race where she stops trying so hard so that it can be a tie, and then Sailor Neptune realizes that and is like, "You stopped trying on purpose," and she didn't even know that she stopped trying on purpose. It was so instinctual for her not to try fully hard. So that's kind of her crux. So she's like,
She doesn't want to stand out.
Am I intentionally hindering myself? I think overall, in terms of a single sailor centric episode. This was in one of the lower ones. It was not a very great. I didn't feel like it added anything.
We've had great Mercury episodes.
We've had great. The past one was a great.
This is a great pool episode. This is a great swimming episode.
Yeah, like
it was very lame and ugly.
You ever seen Grand Blue?
Yeah.
You seen Grand Blue? Yeah, that's some good swimming. Yeah, it's some good beer drinking too. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's a lot of spout wetness and stuff, but ultimately, she gets something taken away from her, and then she has to fight for it to get back.
Did you guys notice this episode remained isolated?
Yeah.
In the pool once
Yeah.
it got there.
Yeah.
Nothing else. It didn't leave the pool.
It felt really short, even though it wasn't short. It was just so simple.
And this is what the item was in this. What was the item she touched?
Well, it must have been a swimming pool.
It must have been like the end.
Floaty.
It was like the. It was the
Or a
floaty.
buoy,
I think it was the floaty. Yeah.
Which I don't know why there'd be a floaty in the pool while they were doing a race, but I suppose.
Okay, before the other sailors. Well, actually, it's funny. Sailors in the pool.
Oh.
Sure, something there because they're not. They call them sailors. You ever think about this? Sailors.
Because they're wearing like sailor uniforms. That's it. I think that's the crux of it.
Yeah.
Kinda.
No, well, I'm
They're wearing
saying
Sailor Moon uniforms. You know what I mean? Like at least
The
this
Sailor
one.
Moon.
We're on
but
season 3.
Sailor Moon didn't
This is
exist
no
when these
longer
outfits
like
were invented.
Frank Sinatra, like 1950s Hollywood.
No, but it
version
is.
of a sailor.
it still
The
is.
No.
idealized.
It's its own thing.
No, but why the hell would they call it sailors?
It's
They're in
feminized.
sailor girl outfits.
I noticed there was a repeated Chick Corea Return to Forever 80s Scientology Jazz Fusion soundtrack to the extended swimming scene.
John Patrick Melton perhaps mentioning something like a John Denver-esque.
Yeah, there was a John Denver-esque one. I could hear the tune to not Take Me Home Country Road, but Annie's Song by John Denver over one of the OSTs in this, which would actually line up vaguely with the time that this probably would have been made. There was something, Zach. You had a chuckle moment at something, and I wrote it down.
It was the pool. He liked that the pool floaty was just wrapped around a.
He liked the pool floaty. There was something else that you thought was funny, and it was character moments amongst the girls where Usagi comes in once, like, so they're all studying, and Ami hasn't come in yet.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And then Ami comes in, and
So,
Usagi is pro studying, and then they all have a moment of going, "Oh, Usagi said something admirable."
I'm gonna reflect on that.
And you got a genuine chuckle out of that.
I did indeed because it was very clear that like Usagi like went out of herself and even like adopted like a sort of position that she didn't normally, and it actually was outside of her.
Selfless.
It was selfless, but it was a reach because it didn't even make sense for Usagi to like advocate for this position.
It did make sense.
It didn't make sense. It was unusual, but go on.
The context of why this happened was when Ami was getting reamed out by that professor guy. Sailor Moon, aka Usagi, overheard the conversation. So that's why she felt she was being selfless. Like, oh, perhaps Ami helping us study and helping us with our homework is hindering her own performance, and she has this dream to become a doctor. So I must not let her help us at the very start. But perhaps maybe some of my co-hosts were too busy talking about the Bible.
we dived
Theology.
into various books beforehand.
One man's Bible is another man's Sailor Moon Super. So,
yeah, this is our chaser after our deep Abrahamic studies earlier in the night.
I think Zach would have enjoyed seeing that one scene of the mention of Adam and Eve and Sailor Moon kiss with Mamoru. It was a very half-second blinking.
Yeah, there was actually and
also
we touched upon this when we did
the Holy
it.
Grail and Messiah in the last episodes. I think you may have.
Hopefully Zach will feature again in this endless series of Smooth.
Yeah, there's like 12 seasons of the show and 7,000 episodes.
We've been doing this for 12 years.
12 years.
I'm almost in my 50s.
JP's right though. I did become enlivened by Usagi's
one thing I noticed
incredible empathetic moment
and the reaction too.
The one thing I noticed during that scene is when everyone was like, "Oh, is Usagi have a fever? What's going on?"
It's a character moment.
the art style. It had a shading and a shadowing over it, which I've never seen before, and
it was like
almost looked really good. And I almost wish the rest of the show looked like that. It looked very. A lot of effort was put into those 2 scenes.
Yeah.
That being said, I was surprised.
The physical comedy of this season, I've noticed, is repeatedly
above average.
It's above average. They understand how to animate tiny little punchlines and emphasize them. And for me, those are character moments.
This season
where with the freak of the week nature of the narrative,
right.
we really lack in character moments because really everything needs to be bottled into one.
And
we're disconcerted about greater continuity, except when we get towards the 13, 26. Right. What's 13 plus 26? 39, like marks, right? Everything generally gets, once we get close to those marks of the season, things amp up. So anytime, like, those are like when, the
Moon War really pops off.
Yeah, exactly.
But I would say that there were moments where we just focused on Mercury swimming. And
they really lavished in it too.
They lavished in it, and it wasn't directly related immediately to an issue.
One thing, it was her escape. Right? It's like, I'm going to go swimming.
Yeah, but this is one thing I thought about that.
I actually thought that was a nice character.
Considering she's the water,
she hasn't had a character moment in a while.
She's the water sailor. We've never seen anything prior to this, as far as I can recall.
Bubbles.
Of her being pro swimming.
There's some pro swimming in season 1.
We've seen some beach episodes, but she was never like actively like.
No. She does some swimming in like one episode in season 1.
Well, if it's one episode, it's like.
And it's one of the episodes before the other sailors have even been introduced in season 1.
Yeah, so there was a lot of
severe lack of the outer planet sailors. They just watched.
Yeah, they were just kind of kicking in.
They were as human form,
but Neptune had her moment because she races.
But they were human form, not a sailor form.
No, they never went sailor form in this episode. Because I was about to say to Zach,
there's a second.
I was talking about how there's the classic Mamoru tuxedo mask save. He throws the rose down. You see that same shot every single thing. But we have an established shot now of the 2 girls. Sailor Neptune, Sailor Uranus.
Saturn and Uranus.
Is it Saturn? Am I saying Neptune?
Oh, is it Neptune? Bro, maybe it is Neptune. I think.
Yeah. So Mercury's like having her moment, and we are having this like intrusion by these like outer planet sailors.
Yeah, there was no professor in this episode. Actually, there was, but you don't think he even said it.
It was quick. It was
so quick.
There was an intrusion, but it was kind of reeled back. It was too soon. It was overdone.
No, it's fine.
No, this is entirely analytical. There was a moment where the outer sailors did intervene and they were pulled back. Yet it like as if the sailors are not matured enough yet to like have these outer sailors be meddling with it. That's
a genuine analysis.
Yeah, she was.
I guess that's the whole point of the plot was that they have to let her do it herself.
Yeah, the personality of one of the outer sailors was like, God damn it, I want to set her straight, but we can't. We have to wait until she comes into herself before we can really make these sort of like pushes. Yeah, as JP said, fair analysis.
One thing I didn't like, which I don't like with the show that happens a lot, is we had Kalanite, the red-haired like main antagonist of the Deathbusters, that's their crew name. She was there and she was watching and observing, and I dislike that the greater scheme antagonists are very lazy. They observe, and she probably could have
They're
succeeded.
patient.
No, she probably could have succeeded, but she just like lets her underlings do it.
Oh my gosh. That's such stupid commentary, Reed, because it's like, they could have killed them earlier. It's like, yeah, the narrative wouldn't.
No, it's not about the narrative.
But what you're missing is in the episode before this and the episode before that, she jumped in herself. She just backed out again, and they didn't acknowledge the fact that she failed.
And also didn't acknowledge the fact that she's just standing there. She was there, and then at the end, she just wasn't there anymore.
Yeah,
so
it's
just like
she's there now.
It was very pointless to show.
Maybe that shows the fallibility of the antagonist. Is like maybe they don't go for what they could get. Like
I think it's just a children's show. Bullshit.
I think what I like is with the logic that you're concerned about with people doing this is that it's unilateral. So it's like everybody in this in the case of the classic and for sake of argument, I'm going to use the word shonen when I'm referring to Sailor Moon, because it follows the tropes of a shonen anime, right? Right. It's got Freak of the Week, but it's got the underlying story.
Of course, it's shonen. Yeah.
It's also a magical girl. It's also technically shoji, but it's really a shonen at its core. And it relies on like certain miscommunications, certain coincidences, certain things. But it's unilateral. So the villains do it, but so do the heroes.
Right.
Right. So I see it as a non-issue as long as it's unilateral.
One thing,
right? So this doesn't exist in our Earth, Earth 616 or whatever. Like that's the MCU one, right? Yeah.
Bro, no, okay,
but like, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't follow that rule set, right?
Yeah.
So these people are ignorant to these things.
So
Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus still don't know that Ami is Sailor Mercury.
Right.
Like that's
right.
and we had this whole thing. They still don't know.
Right.
That's the logic. These people are that ignorant. And yes, it exists to perpetuate the narrative, but also it's consistently ignorant.
I agree. Yeah.
Amongst the villains and the heroes, it's not like one side is that. It's a non-issue.
Yeah. No.
I'm not out here being like.
No, but we're pulling back on this thread of why didn't she push that hard? Because like she. In character, she wouldn't have.
No, but you don't even know who this character is. You don't know Cal Knight, bro. You haven't seen the Cal Knight lore. In character, she should. In character, based on the last episode, she should.
Cal Knight has been inconsistent, given
she's been consistently lazy. I gotta say, she's been consistently
But she did jump in, and then she jumped in. Now she's just in Tokyo and not doing anything.
It's just lame that she's just observing.
So I'll give it to you on Cal Knight, but.
I got one thing to say based on the last episode. It didn't actually happen in this one, but something I acknowledged was in the love episode with Naru and whatever the guy's name is. Yumino is prior, especially season 1, I recall the Freaks of the Week would show up and start doing an attack, and everyone would be put to sleep, or their energy would be sucked, and they wouldn't observe what's going on. In this season, other characters are seeing and witnessing the Freaks of the Week. And then the Freak of the Week being defeated, and they're not really acknowledging that they're just like monsters have arrived. Like prior to them, like after them beating the Die Heart, no one's really like acknowledging that. Oh yeah, there's a monster there. Like usually the sailors are fighting the monsters in a very secluded.
But what early season 1 does that the rest of the series, including now, doesn't do is that. The incidences become isolated to situations where very little other spectators are there.
Sure.
If any of you have watched Astro Boy, for example, does the same thing.
You know, actually, straight up, I was talking about that's
the first episode of Astro Boy and the first episode of Sailor Moon actually have almost identical premise. It takes place in a jewelry store. People are all around and stuff, and he uses a kind of amnesia thing so that the people who witness it don't remember.
Yeah.
It works
it's
for,
like the Men in Black scanner eye thing.
It's like the Men in Black.
But they didn't happen. It's not happening anymore. The people are just seeing it and then just not really acknowledging
Who saw anything in this episode?
No, I'm not. It's not this episode. I'm just saying.
Who saw anything in any episode in recent memory?
The last episode, the two Naru and they watch. She was literally attacking him,
but it's also been implied that like this shit is a little bit in the news, right? Because remember when Sailor V was... They haven't touched it in a while, but when Sailor Venus was introduced, Sailor Venus was someone that people knew about.
They knew she was a hero, but I don't think they knew about the monsters, bro.
Well, yeah.
They knew that she existed.
But maybe the monsters get reframed as generic criminals,
Yeah, but I mean, they saw a monster. They saw the...
Reed, maybe
But
I
if
haven't
there's no
seen the
pictures,
recent
then-
episodes, but your tone is getting a bit deconstructive. You need to be constructive.
Thanks for watching.
He's got a good haircut. Nice.
Thanks for watching.